For the 5-minute video, I will just be focusing on my first level. Starting off, the player spawns in front of an NPC that they can talk to and then receive directions. Looking around the room, there are 4 different exits, all using openings attract to draw the player towards them. The first is up on the left, which heads towards the dam. The next one along goes further into the cave. The third one moves out towards the right with a pickup object at the end, acting as a breadcrumb to lead the player over towards it. And then finally, there is a opening behind the player where they first spawned. If the player decides to move further into the level, they are met with the environmental storytelling features of a garden made by the NPC using luminescent light above to grow food items. And then to the left, there is a broken bridge with debris below. Moving back, the player has the choice to move up, to the right, or back with a game. Moving up to the right, they're met with the same exit they saw previously, as well as a new one. 3 openings attract. Moving up and out reveals a new larger location to the player, incorporating leading lines to bring attention to the focal points of the 2 quest objects to help build affordances on what quest items are, and overall arching goal for the level to reach the towers in the back. Quickly covering them one by one. The right uses lines on the floor, as well as the lines created through the cliff face. The left side also uses planks on the floor, as well as the cliff faces. From the front entrance, the walls are slightly angled towards the final goal, along with the cliffs also being visible, directing the player toward both the quest objects and the background towers. Moving out from these areas, some denial and reward are introduced. From those exiting positions, line of sight is broken and regained while moving towards each of those quest objects. One of them by this boulder, which also has a statue on top that will come an affordance the player has to understand to get past this gate and progress to the second level. Swapping focus to the other object, the area is using architecture that matches the original game. It was changed during the course of development through playtests, where the visibility and acknowledgement of that area was lacking, and therefore the tower in the back size was increased to act as a better landmark for players, as well as editing some of the jumps to help acquisition of the quest object. Moving to a focus on the use of space. For the above ground area, I primarily focused on positive space, with it all being accessible and usable by the player, with only a small amount of negative space off to the side that hold environmental storytelling elements of a suggest to a broken, forgotten land. Now focusing on underground area, there is a passage on the corner of the map that is blocked off with a gate that requires the first 2 quest objects to be collected to have access to a torch. Once moving through this gate, the players drop down into a semi-valve where they can no longer return back up and have to travel through the cave system to return to the surface. Shifting focus to the main landmark of the underground area, being the boss area, there is beautiful reward and denial points. You can see this end area from multiple locations using the openings to trap. For the underground area, I focused especially on negative space to allow for a contrasting spatial conditions for the player to vary gameplay between the 2 zones, also mimicking the playstyle switch in the original game, moving from above to below ground gameplay. There is also a switch in the utilization of pickups acting as breadcrumbs in the below ground compared to above ground, with above ground focusing on directing the player to explore. The below ground mainly focuses on using breadcrumbs that aren't affected by lighting to show players different alternative routes down through the cave system. For directly leading the player, I mainly used lighting seen on the corner of the walkway, along with inside the tunnel towards the final area and room. There is a light placed at a position where the player will be likely to see it and know that is the progressing point. Finally, moving towards this end area where the player has to collect the spears, which is the final quest object of this level, along with engaging with the statues, which was the previously mentioned first point of affordance, where the player has to then teleport up higher and higher. This is also an area that was changed through playtesting adding a backing blocking wall to stop a player moving back out of this area without first engaging with the statues and fully understanding and developing a strong affordance. Here showing the sort of breadcrumb through the pickup, as well as the gate of a door that was inaccessible from the other side. And then this is finally using that afforded just gain to exit past the initial gate that was introduced to the player and progress to the second level.